This chilling case revolves around three individuals whose lives are intertwined in a web of ambition, betrayal, and tragedy. Edward Blackwood is a self-made tycoon, the founder and CEO of Blackbaud Technologies, a company that rose from humble beginnings to become a Silicon Valley powerhouse. But his relentless pursuit of success came at a steep price. His dedication to his career, often putting in 16-hour days and sacrificing family time, strained his marriage to his wife, Amelia, and left a gaping emotional chasm between him and his only son, Lucas. Lucas Blackwood grew up in the shadow of his father's success, a shadow that seemed to dwarf his own ambitions. Despite being afforded every privilege money could buy, from elite private schools to access to the best mentors, Lucas struggled to find his own footing. He bounced from one failed business venture to the next, a gourmet burger joint in San Francisco that went under after a year, a tech startup that fizzled out before it could even gain traction, and, most recently, a marketing agency that barely broke even. Lucas's ambition seemed to be overshadowed by the towering legacy of Blackbaud Technologies, making it difficult for him to define his own path. Harper Vance is a captivating woman whose enigmatic aura and captivating beauty concealed a complex past. Harper, a recent transplant to the affluent seaside town of Ocean View Heights, California, where Blackbaud Technologies had its headquarters, quickly drew the attention of the town's elite. Her charm and ambition seemed to mask a troubled history, a secret she carefully guarded. Unbeknownst to the residents of Ocean View Heights, Harper was playing a dangerous game, a game that would lead her to a crossroads of love, revenge, and ultimately, murder. The residents of Ocean View Heights, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath the surface of their seemingly idyllic community, were about to witness a shocking revelation, a truth that would forever change their perception of the seemingly perfect Blackwoods. It was a Thursday evening, the kind of day that usually ended with the clinking of wine glasses and the murmur of polite conversation at the Blackbaud mansion. But on this particular Thursday, the mansion stood eerily silent, the air thick with a sense of dread that permeated the entire neighborhood. Inside the opulent home, a scene of unimaginable horror unfolded. Ed Blackwood, the man who had built an empire from scratch, lay dead on the marble floor of his study, a single bullet wound to the head ending his reign as the king of Blackbaud Technologies. The news spread like wildfire, shockwaves rippling through the community. It was a tragedy that seemed to defy logic, a brutal act of violence that shattered the facade of tranquility that Ocean View Heights so carefully cultivated. The police investigation was swift and thorough. The study, a testament to Ed's power and influence, was cordoned off, crime scene investigators meticulously combing through every inch of the room for clues. The evidence they uncovered was chilling: a single shell casing from a .38 caliber revolver, a single fingerprint smudged on the edge of a leather-bound journal, and a faint scent of perfume that lingered in the air. The town was consumed by whispers and speculation. Who could have possibly wanted Ed Blackwood dead? Was it a disgruntled employee, a jealous rival, or perhaps a scorned lover? The residents of Ocean View Heights, once content with their lives of quiet luxury, were now consumed by a chilling sense of paranoia, their carefully curated worlds suddenly feeling fragile and uncertain. The initial investigations revealed no signs of forced entry, suggesting that the perpetrator knew the house well. Ed Blackwood was a man who had made enemies throughout his career, but his circle of close acquaintances was small and tightly knit. The police quickly began interviewing his family, business associates, and even his estranged wife, Amelia, who had moved to a secluded cottage in the countryside following their separation. Each interview, each piece of evidence, chipped away at the veneer of normalcy, revealing a network of secrets, hidden agendas, and unspoken resentments that lurked beneath the surface of Ocean View Heights. The murder of Ed Blackwood was more than just a senseless tragedy. It was a stark reminder that even in the most seemingly perfect worlds, darkness can lurk, waiting for the right moment to unleash its fury. And as the investigation deepened, the truth began to unravel, revealing a twisted tale of love, ambition, and revenge that would leave those involved forever changed. The murder of Ed Blackwood sent shockwaves through Ocean View Heights, but it was the police department that felt the true weight of the tragedy. Detectives Miller and Garcia, seasoned investigators known for their sharp minds and unwavering determination, were tasked with solving the case. Their investigation began with the usual suspects: disgruntled employees, business rivals, and family members. The police interviewed several employees at Blackbaud Technologies, focusing on those who had recently been fired or demoted. They delved into the company's internal records, looking for signs of animosity or resentment. One employee, a disgruntled software engineer named Gary Thompson, stood out. Gary had been passed over for a promotion, blaming Ed for his lack of advancement. He had made several angry comments about Ed's leadership and had even threatened to take him down. But Gary's alibi checked out, placing him at a tech conference on the night of the murder. The investigation extended to Ed's business rivals, specifically a ruthless tech entrepreneur named Mark Reynolds. Mark and Ed had been in a bitter feud for years, vying for the same investors and market share. The animosity between the two men was well documented, and Mark had on more than one occasion publicly expressed his desire to see Blackbaud Technologies crumble. However, Mark had a solid alibi, having been at a charity gala across town at the time of the murder. Amelia Blackwood, Ed's estranged wife, was an intriguing subject. She had been living a secluded life since her separation from Ed, and her past relationship with him was complicated. She had been furious with Ed's constant focus on work, feeling neglected and abandoned. The police learned that Ed had recently tried to reconcile with Amelia, but she had refused his advances, leaving a bitter taste in their relationship. The police meticulously examined the crime scene again and again, searching for any clue that might lead them to the killer. The single fingerprint found on the leather-bound journal was a crucial piece of the puzzle. It didn't belong to any of the known suspects, and it was sent to the lab for analysis. The perfume scent proved to be a dead end, too common to be a unique identifier. The police felt like they were stuck in a labyrinth, each path leading to a dead end. They needed a fresh perspective, a new angle. Then, a break came in the form of a seemingly insignificant detail, a single, hastily scribbled note found tucked inside Ed's desk drawer. It was a simple message: "I'll never let you forget what you did to me." The note, written in a hurried, almost desperate scrawl, provided a tantalizing glimpse into the killer's psyche. The note ignited a spark of hope in the investigators. They now had a motive, a tangible connection to the killer's mindset. They needed to identify the person who felt wronged by Ed Blackwood, someone who harbored a deep-seated resentment, and someone who was capable of such a violent act. The investigation was far from over, but the team was now focused. They had a clue, a trail to follow, and a killer to unmask. As Detectives Miller and Garcia delved deeper into the case, their attention turned to Harper Vance, the enigmatic newcomer to Ocean View Heights. The note found in Ed Blackwood's desk drawer, with its ominous message of betrayal and retribution, hinted at a hidden past, a simmering resentment that could have fueled such a violent act. Harper Vance was a woman shrouded in mystery. Her past was a carefully guarded secret, and the residents of Ocean View Heights knew little about her life before arriving in their community. Her charm and beauty were undeniable, but there was an underlying sadness in her eyes that hinted at a troubled past. She had quickly become a fixture in the town's social circles, attending charity galas and mingling with the elite. Yet, despite her seemingly effortless integration, she kept her personal life private, leaving a trail of unanswered questions in her wake. The detectives began to piece together Harper's life, starting with her arrival in Ocean View Heights. They learned that she had moved there with her mother, a frail woman who had recently been diagnosed with a terminal illness. Harper had taken on the role of caregiver, tending to her mother's needs while simultaneously building a new life for herself. However, the detectives also uncovered a series of strange occurrences, whispers of a tumultuous past that hinted at a darker side to Harper's charm. The investigation focused on Harper's past, meticulously tracing her movements, her relationships, and her financial history. They discovered that Harper had once been engaged to a promising young entrepreneur named Thomas Carter, a man who had lost everything in a disastrous business deal. The detectives learned that Thomas had blamed Ed Blackwood for his financial ruin, claiming that Ed had deliberately sabotaged his business deal, ultimately leading to his downfall. Thomas Carter had disappeared shortly after the failed deal, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions. His whereabouts remained unknown, but the detectives discovered a series of heated emails between Thomas and Ed Blackwood, full of accusations and threats. It was clear that the two men had been involved in a bitter feud, one that could have easily spiraled into violence. The detectives began to see a possible connection between Harper Vance and Thomas Carter's disappearance. Could Harper have been involved in Thomas's vanishing act, driven by a desire for revenge against Ed Blackwood? The possibility was intriguing, but the detectives needed more evidence. The investigation continued, fueled by a mounting sense of urgency. Harper Vance was a captivating and enigmatic woman, but her past held secrets that could shed light on the dark truth behind Ed Blackwood's murder. The detectives were determined to uncover those secrets, even if it meant risking everything they held dear. As the investigation into Ed Blackwood's murder intensified, Detectives Miller and Garcia found themselves drawn to a suspect closer to home, Lucas Blackwood, Ed's estranged son. While the initial focus had been on external threats, the detectives began to realize that the tragedy might have roots within the family. Lucas Blackwood was a man burdened by his father's legacy. The success of Blackbaud Technologies had cast a long shadow over his own ambitions, leaving him feeling overshadowed and inadequate. He struggled to forge his own path, his attempts at entrepreneurship failing to match the brilliance of his father's achievements. This constant comparison, coupled with the emotional distance between him and his father, created a simmering resentment that could have easily boiled over into violence. The detectives had already interviewed Lucas in the early stages of the investigation. He had been cooperative but distant, his grief for his father tinged with a sense of relief that he could finally be free from the weight of his father's expectations. However, as the investigation deepened, subtle inconsistencies in his story began to emerge. Lucas had claimed to be at a friend's birthday party on the night of the murder, but his alibi was shaky. The friend, who had not been contacted by the police, was unavailable for questioning. Further investigation revealed that Lucas had a history of petty theft and reckless behavior, suggesting a potential for darker impulses. The detectives also discovered that Lucas had a strained relationship with his father, stemming from years of neglect and emotional distance. Ed Blackwood had dedicated his life to building his empire, neglecting his family in the process. This lack of affection and connection had left Lucas feeling unloved and resentful, fueling a desire for revenge against the father who had abandoned him. The detectives began to see a pattern in Lucas's behavior, a pattern of anger and frustration masked by a facade of grief. They recalled a previous incident where Lucas had gotten into a heated argument with his father, threatening to make him pay for his neglect. The detectives were not certain if Lucas was capable of murder, but they couldn't discount the possibility. His history of impulsivity and resentment, coupled with the strained relationship with his father, presented a strong motive. The detectives knew they needed to delve deeper into Lucas's life, uncovering the truth behind his facade of grief and unearthing the secrets hidden beneath the surface. The investigation took a new turn, shifting from the shadowy figure of Harper Vance to the conflicted son, Lucas Blackwood. The truth was closer than they thought, but it was shrouded in a web of complex emotions and hidden motives. The detectives were determined to unravel the tangled threads, even if it meant confronting the painful truth that the killer might be someone they had once believed was innocent. As the investigation into Ed Blackwood's murder unfolded, the focus shifted to those closest to him, those who had both the motive and the opportunity to end his life. The detectives found themselves drawn back to Amelia Blackwood, Ed's estranged wife, a woman shrouded in mystery and bearing the weight of a complicated past. While initially dismissed as a grieving widow, Amelia had begun to pique the detectives' interest. Her secluded life in a remote cottage, her fierce independence, and her refusal to reconcile with Ed hinted at a depth of resentment that could have fueled a desperate act. The detectives revisited their initial interview with Amelia, scrutinizing her words and actions. They discovered that Amelia had not been completely truthful about her movements on the night of the murder. While she had claimed to be alone in her cottage, a neighbor reported seeing a shadowy figure leaving Amelia's house around the time of Ed's death. Digging deeper, the detectives discovered that Amelia had been involved in a long-running financial dispute with Ed. They uncovered evidence suggesting that Ed had been secretly siphoning funds from a joint account, leaving Amelia with little to her name. This betrayal, coupled with Ed's attempts at reconciliation that she perceived as manipulative, had ignited a fierce anger within her. The detectives also discovered a series of cryptic emails between Amelia and a lawyer specializing in divorce and asset division. The emails revealed a complex legal battle that had been brewing between Ed and Amelia, fueled by bitterness and accusations of infidelity. This bitter legal struggle, combined with the financial betrayal, provided a compelling motive for Amelia to seek revenge. The detectives further discovered that Amelia had been secretly seeing a man named David, a charming and enigmatic artist who had captured her heart. David had been fiercely protective of Amelia, often expressing his disdain for Ed's controlling and manipulative behavior. The detectives found themselves wondering if David could have been involved in the murder, acting out of a desire to protect Amelia or out of jealousy for her affection. The investigation was now focused on Amelia Blackwood, a woman caught between the shadows of her past and the allure of a new life. She was a captivating figure, capable of both love and rage. The detectives had to confront the possibility that behind the facade of a grieving widow lurked a dangerous and vengeful woman. The hunt for Ed Blackwood's killer had become a race against time. The detectives were now facing a complex web of secrets and hidden agendas. The truth lay buried within the tangled relationships of the Blackwood family, waiting to be unearthed. Just when the investigation seemed to be focusing solely on the Blackwood family, a new piece of evidence emerged, shifting the detectives' focus once again. A seemingly insignificant detail, overlooked in the initial chaos, became a crucial clue. It was a tiny, silver locket, found tucked inside the pocket of Ed Blackwood's coat. It was a simple, antique piece with an inscription on the back, "To my dearest Claire, always in my heart." The locket itself wasn't particularly remarkable, but the name Claire was. It wasn't a name associated with any of the known suspects. The detectives began a frantic search for any connection to the name, scouring the company records, personal files, and even social media. The name Claire seemed to have vanished from Ed's life, as if she were a ghost from a forgotten past. Then, a breakthrough. A former employee of Blackbaud Technologies, an elderly secretary who had worked for Ed during his early years, came forward. She remembered Claire, a brilliant young programmer who had worked alongside Ed during the company's formative years. She had been a close confidant, a source of both inspiration and support, but she had disappeared abruptly, leaving behind only a whisper of a troubled past. The detectives delved into the company archives, searching for any trace of Claire. They found a few old photographs, depicting a vibrant young woman with a mischievous twinkle in her eyes. The photographs hinted at a close relationship between Claire and Ed, one that seemed to have ended abruptly and mysteriously. They discovered that Claire had worked on a groundbreaking project with Ed, a project that had been abandoned due to unforeseen circumstances. This project, the detectives realized, had involved sensitive technology, a technology that could have potentially made Ed a target. The detectives were starting to piece together a possible scenario. Could Claire have been involved in something that put Ed in danger? Could she have been the one who felt betrayed by Ed, leading to a desperate act of revenge? The locket, the forgotten name, and the abandoned project were like pieces of a puzzle, slowly revealing the dark secrets of Ed Blackwood's past. The search for Claire became paramount. The detectives were now facing a ghost from Ed's past, a ghost that could hold the key to solving his murder. The investigation had taken a sharp turn, leading them down a winding path of hidden agendas, betrayals, and long-forgotten truths. The detectives' relentless pursuit of Claire, the ghost from Ed Blackwood's past, led them on a winding trail of old connections and forgotten secrets. They tracked down former colleagues, combed through dusty archives, and finally, after weeks of tireless investigation, they found a lead: a small town in upstate New York, where Claire had supposedly settled after her disappearance. The journey was fraught with uncertainty. The trail had gone cold, and the information they had gathered was sparse and unreliable. But the detectives were driven by a relentless determination to find Claire, to unearth the truth hidden within her story. They arrived in the small town, a sleepy haven of quaint cottages and sprawling fields, a stark contrast to the bustling metropolis they had left behind. They began their search, following the faintest of clues, a name mentioned in a local newspaper, a familiar pattern on an antique quilt in a shop window. Finally, they found her, Claire, living a quiet life under a new identity, hiding from a past she desperately wanted to forget. Her story was one of betrayal and heartbreak. She revealed that she had been working on a revolutionary project with Ed, one that had the potential to revolutionize the technology industry. However, the project had been sabotaged, its secrets stolen by a rival company, leaving Claire and Ed heartbroken and devastated. Claire accused Ed of betraying her, of deliberately sabotaging the project to protect his own financial interests. She had believed him to be her closest confidant, her partner in innovation, but his actions had shattered her trust and left her feeling betrayed and abandoned. The detectives realized that Claire's anger had festered over the years, turning into a deep-seated resentment that had finally erupted into violence. She had used her knowledge of Ed's routines and vulnerabilities to gain access to his office and carry out her revenge, leaving the locket behind as a final, haunting reminder of their shattered bond. With Claire's confession in hand, the detectives returned to Ocean View Heights, a sense of closure washing over them. They had finally captured Ed Blackwood's killer, but their victory was bittersweet. The truth, they realized, was a complex tapestry woven from betrayal, loss, and the lingering pain of a love gone sour. Claire was arrested, her ghost from the past finally revealed, her story a testament to the destructive power of anger and the enduring legacy of betrayal. The case was closed, but the echoes of Ed Blackwood's murder continued to reverberate through Ocean View Heights, a reminder of the secrets hidden beneath the surface of even the most seemingly idyllic communities. The detectives had seen the darkness lurking within the hearts of seemingly ordinary people, and they had been forever changed by the revelation of a truth that had been buried for years. The trial of Claire, the woman who had haunted the investigation into Ed Blackwood's murder, was a spectacle that captivated Ocean View Heights. The courtroom, usually a place of routine legal proceedings, became a stage for a drama of betrayal, ambition, and the ghosts of a shattered past. Claire, once a brilliant programmer with a vibrant spirit, now stood before the court, a shadow of her former self. Her once bright eyes were clouded with a mixture of regret and defiance, her once confident demeanor replaced by a fragile vulnerability. The prosecution painted a picture of a vengeful woman consumed by bitterness and a desire for retribution. They presented the evidence, the locket, the abandoned project, the timeline of events, all meticulously pieced together to construct a case that was both damning and undeniably tragic. Claire's defense attorney, a seasoned legal veteran known for his persuasive charm, sought to portray Claire as a victim of Ed Blackwood's deceit and ambition. He argued that Claire had been a pawn in Ed's ruthless game, manipulated and discarded when she had served her purpose. He painted a portrait of a brilliant mind driven to despair by the betrayal of a man she had once trusted implicitly. The trial was a clash of narratives, the prosecution's cold, calculated portrayal of a vengeful woman versus the defense's sympathetic depiction of a woman driven to desperation by the actions of a manipulative tycoon. The jury, carefully selected to represent a cross-section of Ocean View Heights, hung on every word, their faces a canvas of curiosity and doubt. The courtroom became a battleground for the memories of Ed Blackwood and Claire. Each witness, each piece of evidence, brought back fragments of a past that had been lost to time, a past that had been consumed by ambition and betrayal. The climax of the trial came during Claire's testimony. She took the stand, her voice trembling as she recounted her years of working with Ed, the shared dreams, the betrayal, the shattered trust. Her story resonated with the jury, a powerful narrative of ambition and betrayal that resonated with the hopes and fears of the people of Ocean View Heights. The jury retired to deliberate, their task a daunting one, to weigh the evidence, the narratives, and the weight of a shattered past. The verdict, when it finally came, was a shock to many. Claire was found guilty of manslaughter, her crime deemed an act of passion driven by desperation and betrayal. The trial ended, but its impact on Ocean View Heights lingered. It had exposed the fragility of trust, the dark undercurrents of ambition, and the haunting consequences of betrayal. The trial of Claire was a reminder that even in a community seemingly built on prosperity and success, the ghosts of the past could rise up, claiming their own bitter revenge. The verdict in the trial of Claire echoed through Ocean View Heights, leaving in its wake a town grappling with the weight of its revelations. The lines between victim and perpetrator had become blurred, the pursuit of justice yielding an unsettling truth that defied easy categorization. Claire's sentencing was met with mixed reactions. Some felt a sense of relief, a chapter closed on a dark period in the town's history. The image of Ed Blackwood, the titan who had built his empire on innovation and ambition, had been irrevocably tarnished, his legacy now intertwined with deceit and manipulation. Others, however, felt a deep unease. Claire's story, a tale of betrayal and desperation, had resonated with many, exposing the underbelly of ambition and the human cost of unchecked power. The verdict, while bringing a sense of closure, also brought a wave of introspection. The trial had laid bare the cracks in the town's idyllic facade. Whispers of other secrets, long buried beneath the surface of success and prosperity, began to surface. The Blackbaud technology scandal, once a source of hushed speculation, became a topic of open debate, forcing a reckoning with the price of ambition and the compromises made in its pursuit. The Blackwood family, once the epitome of Ocean View Heights' success, retreated from the public eye, their name forever linked to scandal and tragedy. The once grand Blackwood estate, a symbol of their triumph, stood empty, a haunting reminder of the family's shattered legacy. The town, once united in its admiration for Ed Blackwood, was now fragmented, the trial exposing the fault lines that had always existed beneath the surface. The narrative of a shared success was replaced with a more complex understanding of the sacrifices made, the compromises accepted, and the silenced voices lost in the pursuit of progress. Yet, amidst the division and uncertainty, there was also a flicker of hope. The trial, for all its turmoil, had forced Ocean View Heights to confront its demons, to acknowledge the shadows that lurked beneath its polished exterior. In the aftermath, a new generation of entrepreneurs and innovators emerged, driven by a desire to build a future where ambition was tempered with compassion, and success was measured not just in profits, but in the well-being of the community. The trial of Claire became a turning point, a catalyst for change in a town grappling with its identity. The scars of the past remained, but so did the resilience of a community determined to learn from its mistakes and build a better future. The ghosts of Ed Blackwood and Claire continued to linger, but their story served as a cautionary tale, a reminder that the pursuit of progress must never come at the cost of compassion, integrity, and the very soul of a community.